Hi, I'm Anne and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reorganizing my bookshelf. This has been a long time coming. Right now it is kind of organized according to color, but it's not perfect anymore. Like, as you can see, there's a random orange next to where the greens are. So yes, this has been a long time coming where I just really needed to reorganize my bookshelf. So that's what we're going to do. We are not going to be organizing the top or the bottom three shelves. So the bottom shelf of each of my bookshelves. Yes, I also decided to do a voiceover because trying to record it with my microphone while organizing just did not work. So I decided a quick voiceover, yes, that's another one that's totally out of place, would be easier. So we're doing voiceover for this. So you can listen to my dulcet tones for 11 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know. Yes, as you can see, my bookshelf is kind of a mess. All the books that are pulled out are the ones that I have not read yet. So we're gonna stop that. But yeah, and the bottom shelf of this one, and this is the DVDs, which I'm not going to mess with. I also just have piles of books just everywhere, so that's nice. I also have these white containers, which are also filled with paperback books, and also these that are on my desk, I want to move to my bookshelf. So, and of course I have tea while I am organizing. So, I decided to do according to genre. So the first, I guess, organization is old books. As you can see, I'm holding up this. Then I'm going to do a shelf on Chinese books, and then I'm going to do a shelf on language books, so Latin, Chinese novels, or Korean books. And then I'm going to be doing one on like childhood books, so children books to like young teen books. Then I'm going to do a nonfiction, and then I'm going to do historical, fantasy, murder mystery. As you can eventually see, I did not have enough room for all, or I did not have enough room for each genre to get its own shelf, so instead I just kind of combined certain genres. Yeah, this like green thing that I'm taking down now, this thing has been up since Christmas, and I kind of just felt in the festive mood, but I don't know why I showed you guys that. That seems weird. I'm really bad at doing voiceovers. I have no practice. I also look like I'm completely lost. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying watching myself fumble around. So my whole point was to stack all these books in piles. Take them off the bookshelf and stack them into piles according to genre, and then put them back on the bookshelf according to genre. Because then I could see how big each genre was, so I would know, do I need a full shelf for this? Oh, also, you can kind of see my earbuds are in, and I was listening to Rune and Rising. We'll see. I filmed a quick clip of it later. But yeah, so I was just putting everything in piles on my floor right now. Yes, see? Reading Rune and Rising, listening to it on audiobook. And then I would see how big each pile was and see how much room I would need on the bookshelf per genre, or like which genres I should combine, things like that. So yeah, this is my complete thing. So old books, Chinese books, language books, classics, childhood books, nonfictions, just fiction in general, historical fiction, historical nonfiction, and then fantasy, and then mystery. So I did the language shelf first because I didn't have that many books there, and I was like, well, let's just get that out of the way because I know that won't fill a complete bookshelf. And so I did that first. Yeah, I added some decorations because it looked really boring. I do want to get more language books. That's why I gave it room to grow in a sense. And yeah, I just put random stuff there like buttons. So that's nice. And then I did my childhood favorites, which is one of my favorite shelves, how it turned out, because I don't know, I love to look at all the books I loved as a child all in one place. So it's great. So I have Nancy Drew, I have Magic Tree House, I have some of the American Doll books. I used to love those as a kid. And then I have some books that I read in elementary and middle school, and both for school and then just for fun, like I have the Frog Princess series. So yeah. and I decided to just stack as high as I could, as many books as I could. So this organization for me was kind of without rhyme or reason, so I didn't worry about, you know, how perfectly organized it was. I just wanted to fit as many books as possible on each shelf and condense them as much as possible, and certain shelves ended up being pretty empty. Yes, so I don't know why I showed you guys that close up. And so the next shelf I decided to do was just nonfiction, and I ended up combining just nonfiction in general with historical nonfiction, like history books that are nonfiction, because I just didn't have enough general nonfiction, so I just combined the two. And then as you can see on like the shelf above it, I also combined a little bit of historical nonfiction with historical fiction, and then I also have like mystery up there and just like basic fiction. So yeah, I combined certain stuff a lot. I also feel like you'll see this in the next shelf, or probably not, because I think we're going to skip over a shelf, but we'll see that later. I ended up putting Sherlock Holmes in the fiction section because I'd originally put his collection in the mystery section, but now thinking about it, I feel like I should have put it in the classics section because it is a classic, but oh well. Yeah, so now we're working on the classic books. I ended up turning this into two shelves and a little bit reorganizing this bottom shelf, but I never re-showed again, or I guess I re-showed at the end of the video, so you'll see it. But yeah, most of this I did according to how tall it was, so I did it according to height, so it all kind of fit together, even if it's all stacked weirdly on top of each other. So yeah, I just tried a little bit of different things to, like, I don't know, make it look like it's slightly organized even if it's totally not. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with the classic section relatively well. Also, obviously I filmed this prior to finishing Rune and Rising. If you guys saw my video last week, it was the review of Rune and Rising. So obviously this video was filmed during my spring break, which was last week, but I decided to just post it this week instead of last week because I wanted to get the final review for Rune and Rising out before this video. So I was like, I'll just worry about it. So now I'm working on historical fiction, and then I just combine that with fiction in general. And yeah, there is a little bit rhyme and reason to this shelf. On the right, it's more of the historical fiction, and on the left, it's more of the general fiction, and then the mystery. Like right now, I'm putting down the mysteries. But I don't know, it's a little bit all over the place, to be honest. I also feel like you're staring at my back a lot more. Like, if I ever film this video again, I would definitely make sure that, like, I'm not in the way of you seeing what I'm doing on the shelf, especially in this shot. It's so bad. It's so bad. But, you know, have fun staring at my back for like 10 minutes. Alright, so now I'm working on the other classics shelf. So I got all the books that were in those two white containers, I guess. I want to use other things in those containers, or put other things in the containers, so I wanted to take all my paperbacks out of there. So now we're organizing this, and I finally decided to just like move everything over and put my quote board, I'm not sure what it's called, not cork board, I don't know, but I decided to put that there so that I can like put different quotes on it. I have had this one quote on there just for so long. I have had this since I moved to Ohio, which is 2.5 years. So yes, the point was I clearly need to change that quote more often, and I will now that it's clearly on my shelf, so in every video you can see it. And yeah, so this is the, I guess, Chinese section. These are all the books about either Chinese history or just fictional books about China. I just had so many Chinese books, I kind of wanted just them to have a place of their own. And I tried different things on this end thing, and finally, yeah, I put a box there. I just decided to put some flowers there because it looks fine. So then I was working on the fantasy section, and I realized that the books in the fantasy section were slightly shorter, so I decided to move it up to the top shelf because some of the really old books that I own are quite tall. So I wanted to use the bottom shelf to hold the taller books, so I ended up switching that around, yes, as you can see right now. And I do have a little bit of extra room. It felt really weird to have that extra room in pretty much every shelf. Oh yeah, and I just forgot to film parts of putting the old books up, so yeah. And here is the final result. I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't change the bottom shelves at all, but I liked how it turned out. It has a little bit more of an aesthetic appeal, but it also condenses a lot of the books I own into a smaller amount, so basically I can buy more books. I mean, I'm still going to not try to buy so many books this year, but yeah, it just feels good to feel like I have more room to buy books, even if obviously I still have the same amount of books. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.